China's deepening property crisis, Evergrande files for bankruptcy. Xi Jinping scolds Western countries, but likely at wrong time. China being haunted by specter of decoupling. Qing Gang's records quietly reappears on China's foreign ministry website. It's all covered in today's China Truths. China's deepening property crisis, Evergrande files for bankruptcy. The world's most heavily indebted property developer Evergrande Group finally filed for bankruptcy in New York on August 17. The filing under Chapter 15 of the U.S. Bankruptcy Code shields non-U.S. companies under restructuring from creditors coming after their U.S.-based assets. It came after the firm put off meetings regarding a $3.2 billion restructuring plan to keep the company afloat. Evergrande's affiliate Tianji Holdings also sought such protection on August 17. The bankruptcy filing from Evergrande is feeding into growing fears in a country now struggling with a deteriorating real estate market and broader economic turmoil. Once China's second-largest homebuilder by sales, Evergrande defaulted in late 2021 with some $300 billion of debt on its back. Companies accounting for 40% of Chinese home sales have since defaulted, and Country Garden, another leading Chinese developer, on August 6 missed $2-denominated bonds totaling $22.5 million, leaving it a 30-day grace period before it gets labeled a defaulter. Evergrande recently had about $330 billion in liabilities. It posted a combined $81 billion loss for 2021 and 2022 last month. The company said it's in restructuring talks to pay off creditors in Hong Kong, the Cayman Islands, and the British Virgin Islands. Its electric vehicle unit, China Evergrande New Energy Vehicle Group, on Monday announced a debt-for-equity swap plan that would give a 27.5% stake to Dubai-based mobility firm NWTN to raise $500 million. Anxiety about the Chinese real estate market has been compounded after a major Chinese trust company that has sizable real estate exposure, Zhongrong International, missed payments on dozens of investment products. J.P. Morgan in a research note on Monday said the rising trust defaults would drag down China's economic growth by 0.3 to 0.4 percentage points, triggering a vicious cycle for real estate financing. China's economy has slipped into deflation with consumer prices declining in July for the first time in 2 years, putting stress on authorities to step up monetary and fiscal support. The People's Bank of China on Tuesday cut key policy rates for the second time in 3 months, while Chinese authorities suspended the publication of youth jobless data, which has hit consecutive record highs. Xi Jinping scolds Western countries, but likely at wrong time. Chinese leader Xi Jinping has made his strongest criticism against the United States and other Western countries since he took office, blaming them for the dire troubles that China is suffering. On August 15, the official website of Qiushi magazine, a publication of the Central Committee of the Chinese Communist Party, published an article by General Secretary Xi Jinping titled, "China-Style Modernization is a Broad Road to Building a Strong Country and Rejuvenating the Nation." In the article, Xi claimed since he took office, the modernization of Western countries is full of bloody crimes such as war, slave trade, colonization, and plunder, and they have brought great sufferings to the vast number of developing countries. According to Yiping News Network, this is the toughest criticism Xi has made against the West since he became the CCP leader. His accusations came as Xi is obviously under a high pressure. The CCP-led China has recently faced various challenges, from economic sluggishness, poor employment, frequent natural disasters, and the West's decoupling from China. According to the magazine Qiushi, which means seeking truth, the article is a speech that Xi was making to the CCP members and major leading cadres at the ministerial and provincial levels of the Central Committee of the Chinese Communist Party. In his speech, Xi said that a country chooses its path of modernization based on its historical tradition, social system, development conditions, external climate, and other factors. The conditions are different in each country, so their modernization paths will be different. China-style modernization not only has the common characteristics of all countries, but also has distinctive characteristics based on its own national conditions. While claiming that China-style modernization is most in line with its national conditions, Xi scolded the Western countries. Xi said, the Chinese nation has experienced the tragic history of aggression and humiliation by Western powers, and is aware of the importance of peace. He added that it is absolutely impossible for China to repeat the old path of Western countries. Ironically, Xi's allegations for Western countries come at a time when the China-style modernization has been encountering difficulties. Economically, the troika of investment, consumption and import and export in China has almost completely stalled. The latest statistics released earlier in August showed that China's economy has slipped into the predicament of deflation as consumer prices declined in July for the first time in more than 2 years. The National Bureau of Statistics of China has announced that it will not publish the data on the unemployment rate of young people in urban areas for the time being, after the rate has repeatedly hit new highs. Such an announcement sparked angry reactions on social media. On Sina Weibo, a netizen said, "Does the government think the problem will be solved by keeping your mouth shut and blindfolded?" Another netizen wrote, "The situation is too serious. If the authorities can't explain it clearly, they won't say it." The authorities have also started to mess up. The Statistics Bureau's decision may imply that China's economy is not as good as advertised by the authorities, but worsening and even collapsing. As an example reflecting the overall deteriorating economy, China's property giant Evergrande on August 15 filed for bankruptcy protection in a U.S. bankruptcy court. Evergrande is the world's most indebted property developer. It defaulted on its huge debts in 2021, which sent shockwaves through global financial markets. China being haunted by specter of decoupling. The decoupling movement is a great fear that China is experiencing. In the article titled "The Specter of Decoupling Haunts Beijing," published on August 17, author Stu CVRK gave an elaborated analysis about this fear. According to Mr. CVRK, there has been a flurry of recent reports about serious problems with the Chinese economy. When even the engagement-oriented Foreign Affairs published an article with what for them must have been a shocking headline, "The End of China's Economic Miracle," then it must be getting serious. In response, the state-run Chinese media are trying to put lipstick on a pig to keep the spigot of foreign direct investment that props up the Chinese economy going. Here are a few of those happy talk headlines of late: CPI falls, but demand to recover soon. China Daily, August 8. China rolls out measures to boost economic recovery, confidence. People's Daily, August 5. And foreign firms get further incentives. China Daily, August 3. China's economic miracle is anything but, as the foundations for its growth were purposely laid by Western politicians and businessmen who benefited directly from opening China to the world. Now that the communists at Xi Jinping's direction are revealing the foolhardiness of the original assumption that Chinese belligerents could be disincentivized and curtailed through engagement policies, as well as China's successful influence peddling among the U.S. political class, what the communists must consider being a curse word, decoupling, in its softer version de-risking, is now widely being discussed and implemented in some instances in Western political and business circles. First, let's examine the pillars of the Chinese economy. China is an export economy. A long-term Chinese goal has been to become the world's primary manufacturing hub. This is the core of Mr. Xi's Belt and Road Initiative, to build the transportation infrastructure required to access foreign sources of raw materials and export finished goods from Chinese factories to destinations worldwide. The West facilitated the Belt and Road strategy by deregulating trucking, railroads, ports, and open shipping in the 1990s, which are key elements of the global system for shipping goods from factory/producer to final destination/consumer. U.S. engagement policy has further gifted the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, with cheap money, free trade, technology transfer, and extensive foreign direct investment in building up Chinese industries that have been the engines behind the spectacular growth in China's economy, especially since the Clinton administration. These pillars have provided multiple benefits to Communist China. 1. A seemingly never-ending stream of foreign direct investments in Chinese factories and other businesses by foreigners eager to participate in the Chinese economic miracle. 2. Direct access to the latest Western technology through joint ventures that enable theft and transfer of intellectual property to Chinese businesses and the People's Liberation Army, PLA. 3. Trade surpluses that have funded China's military. modernization and buildup as Chinese products undercut the prices of domestically made products in the United States and other nations, and 4. Supply chain dependencies on China that have developed over time. The other key pillar is stable and low-cost energy supplies. The energy-poor Chinese have been diligently at work securing foreign supplies of cheap hydrocarbons from Russia, the Middle East, from Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Iran, and Venezuela, and building coal-fired power plants while putting up a smokescreen about achieving carbon neutrality by 2060. Another leverage enjoyed by China is supply chain dominance. Investopedia defines a supply chain as follows: a supply chain is a network of individuals and companies involved in creating a product and delivering it to the consumer. Links on the chain begin with the producers of the raw materials and end when the van delivers the finished product to the end user. For decades, China has pursued a strategy to capture end-to-end supply chains for profit and geopolitical pressure purposes. As a result, China is a dominant supplier of rare earth elements, pharmaceuticals and their precursors, electric vehicles, lithium batteries, solar panels, hand tools, car parts, and many other products that Americans and others have come to depend on over the years. One key area of strategic vulnerability is that China is the only country with a fully integrated permanent magnet supply chain. Permanent magnets are used in refrigerators, tools, vehicles, etc. A PLA cross-strait invasion of Taiwan would disrupt another key supply chain, as the United States is dependent on Taiwan for the production of semiconductors and microchips, which are used in computers and information technology products. According to the Henry Jackson Society, the U.S. is strategically dependent on China for 424 categories of goods. 114 of these have applications in critical national infrastructure. U.S. strategic planners and Congress are examining ways to minimize these dependencies through decoupling. Decoupling is the strategy of reducing dependence on foreign technology and capabilities. In the case of China, this refers to seeking other sources of supply for critical products and technologies than those produced in Communist China. Decoupling reduces the geopolitical pressure that China can exert on the United States during international crises. The chorus for decoupling has grown louder as the PLA has raised tensions with the United States, Taiwan, the Philippines, and Japan. The imposition of tariffs, financial incentives for onshoring manufacturing back to the United States and other countries, and regulations that prohibit the export of certain classes of advanced technologies are being explored by the United States and its allies as methods of decoupling from China in many ways. Researchers at the Baker Institute argued last December that the U.S. and its allies must divorce strategic industries from Chinese rare earth elements. China's stranglehold on this area gives it a geopolitical advantage and leverage that is dangerous to the world as Beijing pursues confrontational strategies with nations along its periphery in competition for oil and other raw materials. According to Financial Times, automobile company executives are involved in a concerted effort to cut their reliance on China's sprawling network of components makers. The concerns expressed involve a desire for stable procurement and supply. This is a euphemism that implies concerns about interruptions for geopolitical reasons. Some large businesses are beginning to reduce their supply chain risks with China. Bloomberg points out that companies are seeking more resilient supply chains, padded with more inventories or outfitted with better visibility, as well as a diversification of sources. For example, according to Apple Insider, Apple is working to speed up its shift of part of its supply chain out of China, with supply chain partners warned to plan for increases in assembly in India and Vietnam. Another important form of decoupling involves finance and investments. Reuters reported on August 14 that U.S.-based hedge fund investors including Coatue, D1 Capital and Tiger Global cut their exposure to Chinese companies in the second quarter. The Communist Chinese understand their dependency on foreign investment, free trade, and continued domination of key supply chains. Trade surpluses from their export economy fuel domestic tranquility and the expansion and modernization of the PLA. As a result, Chinese state-run media are focused like laser beams against the rising bogeyman of decoupling. Some headlines include the following: China decoupling comes with a high price tag for U.S. People's Daily, August 2, Decoupling should be in history's dustbin, China Daily, June 28, and decoupling from China is not the answer, People's Daily, February 3. The CCP will always telegraph what it fears most. With a faltering economy reported by many China watchers, Beijing understands the need for foreign investment, money, technology, no tariffs, to prime the pump. The CCP fears the strategy of decoupling greatly, which may put terminal pressure on the faltering Chinese economy if the United States and other countries seriously decouple from China. Qing Gang's records quietly reappears on China's foreign ministry website. China's former foreign minister Qing Gang remained absent from the country's latest state council meeting, but his information quietly returned to the official website of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Chinese Premier Li Chang presided over the second plenary meeting of the State Council on August 16, which still saw the absence of Qing Gang, who is still holding the position of state councillor. China's state television channel CCTV showed that, at the State Council meeting, Vice Premiers Ding Xuexiang, He Lifeng, Zhang Guoqing, and Lu Guozhong, and state councillors Wang Xiaohong, Wu Jingwang, and Chen Yiqin sat on the rostrum. State councillors Li Shangfu and Qing Gang were absent. Li Shangfu, the Minister of National Defense, did not attend the meeting because he is visiting Russia and Belarus. For Qing Gang, he attended a public event for the last time on June 25 and has not been seen since. On July 25, the government announced that he was dismissed as foreign minister, but he was not dismissed as state councillor. At that time, Qing Gang was removed from the list of previous ministers on the Foreign Ministry website. The minister's final activities were also erased on the site. However, the Epoch Times revealed that a search results for Qing Gang on the website showed that his information has returned to normal from the previous zero record. The Epoch Times said it found on August 17 that, in the information column on the website of China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Qing Gang has not yet been listed in the Ministers of Foreign Affairs. However, when searching for Qing Gang, it found that information about Qing Gang's past activities had already appeared in the results. Qing Gang was appointed as the special envoy of the Chinese Communist Party to the United States in July 2021. He was then elected to the Central Committee of the party in October 2022. So far, Qing Gang's disappearance has been full of doubts. Observers have been still discussing if Qing Gang's resignation may be related to the internal power struggles within the CCP, his health problems or marital affairs, but there is no official explanation. Feng Chongyi, a professor at the Sydney University of Technology, Australia, told The Voice of America on August 11 that the CCP government is very irresponsible when it comes to the sudden disappearance of Qing Gang. It is a practice of dishonoring and breaking the promise of the international community. Don't forget to leave a comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths.